welcome back to my channel. How are you? I hope that you're doing great. If you're new, hi, welcome, it's Vinci here. I am a biomedical scientist and a health life coach, currently doing a PhD on cancer research, and this channel is all about creating your healthy dream life. So at the beginning of April, I released my first magazine, which I am so happy about. It's an online digital magazine dedicated for healthy, ambitious women. I will leave the link down below if you want to check it out. And in that first magazine, I promised that I would make this video talking about what happens to our body when we practice bad habits. I feel like there's a lot out there about what habits you should be doing in your life and how they can benefit your health, but I think there's very little on what can actually happen when you have the wrong habits. Now, I'm assuming that you know all about smoking, overdrinking, and junk food, so I'm gonna skip those ones because those are very known by now and focus on other types of habits. The first thing that I want to mention is cheating on your sleep. I always talk about how important it is to sleep the right amount of hours, and not only sleeping the right amount of hours, but also having good quality sleep and maintaining the waking up and going to bed time. When you don't do this, when you don't sleep, when you stay up all night, or you sleep less, or you just have a messy sleep cycle, you increase the chance of having high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, and depression. This is also going to affect your brain function, like remembering things or learning new things. There's this system called mesolimbic system, and it's a network of dopaminergic neurons in our brain that include the nucleus accumbens, amygdala, and olfactory tubercle. So when you do not sleep, your mesolimbic system is stimulated and dopamine starts spreading very quickly. So at first you're going to have this high energy, motivation, and positivity. However, your brain starts shutting down other regions of your brain, like for example the ones in charge of making decisions and planning. The longer you stay awake, you get tired, and as you get tired, your reaction time, your perceptual and cognitive function starts decreasing. And all of this together is going to lead you to having a more impulsive behavior. Then the next thing that happens when you're not sleeping well is that your body stops functioning properly, starting with metabolism, which forgets how to metabolize glucose and does not know how to do it the right way, and also your immune system stops working. So as you can see, sleeping not only the right amount of hours, but good quality sleep is really important for our health. The next thing that I would like to talk about is scrolling on your phone during bedtime, or just that time on bed when you're getting ready to fall asleep. The blue light from the electronic device, either your phone or your laptop if you're watching a movie, is messing up with our sleep. The blue light makes our brain stay active and believe it is daytime. The reason for this is because normally when the sun goes down and darkness are the natural ways of melatonin hormone to be released, and this hormone is what makes our body soothe down, relax, and get ready to sleep. However, the blue light interacts with this and avoids this hormone to be released, making our brain and our body thinking it should be awake and it is time to work and it is daytime. Several studies have mentioned that any kind of nighttime light can be linked to several types of cancer, so I would suggest be very careful with this. If you're like me, that you like having your laptop next to you to get ready to fall asleep and watching a soothing TV show, I would suggest be careful with the blue light and have the option of yellow light. So what I do is have the timer set, so my computer automatically from, I think it's 10 to 7 o'clock in the morning, changes its the light of the computer to yellow. That is why it's always suggested when getting ready to sleep to dim down the lights and have like these fairy lights if you want a little bit of light in your room, in order not to be surrounded by blue light and not make your brain believe it's daytime, and soothe it down and make it see that it's time to sleep. The next thing that I would like to talk about is sitting for very long periods of time. Due to this modern workplace that we all have, or the majority of all have, we spend a very long period of time sitting down. We're mostly sitting down in front of our computers for hours and hours, and we don't even notice. What this does, this amount of sitting down slows down our metabolism and increases the risk of heart disease and the risk of having cancer. When you're sitting down, the electrical activity of your muscles and your calorie burning rate start decreasing. When having been sitting down for a few hours already, the arteria dilation drops to a 50%. The longer you sit down, the more difficult it is for insulin to take up on glucose, and this can lead to diabetes type 2. What happens is that when sitting down for around 6 hours per day with no exercise at all, it's going to provoke your muscles to break down. Their contractions are going to become weaker, and this is going to make it more difficult for blood to be pumped back to the heart. Now, even though you exercise regularly, but you're sitting down for a long time during the day, the moment you stop exercising, your muscles are going to start deteriorating that instant. And the problem here is that deterioration of the muscles is proportional to the amount of hours that you have been sitting. This amount of sitting down that we have created a habit in this modern way of living is also very damaging for our bones. What it happens is that it decreases the bone mass. Another thing that is affected by this amount of sitting is our brain function. Moving around helps the blood to pump oxygen to our brain. And not only that, but also to improve our mood. So when you don't move, your brain function starts slowing down. So you can see the human body was not made for a sedentary life. What you can do, because of course you have a job and you have to be sitting in front of the computer for a very long time, is to try it and incorporate small habits to avoid the sitting for a very long period of time. So for example, have walks during 5 minutes every single hour during your work. Or maybe if you have a phone call on your phone and it's not like the typical table phones that you have to be sitting down, maybe you can take the phone and call while standing up or having small moving around. If you work from home or if your office allows it, maybe you could have this standing desk. These desks allow you to be sitting for a while, or also lift it up so that you can work while standing up. Just find these small things that you can incorporate in your working period to reduce the amount of sitting down. The next thing that I would like to talk about is eating too much. Overeating affects our health. That is a fact. It can lead to heart disease, it can lead to diabetes, it can lead to high blood pressure, it can lead to obesity, and it can risk certain types of cancer. So what happens here is that when our stomach is empty, it releases a hormone called ghrelin. This ghrelin is going to interact with our brain and tell the brain that we are hungry. So it's going to start the feeling of hunger and the desire to eat. Once we eat and we fill our stomach, the ghrelin will shut down and another hormone is released which is called leptin. This leptin hormone is going to interact with our brain and tell it that we're full and that we're no longer hungry. So it's going to turn off the desire of eating and tell the brain that we are full. So that is the feeling that you get when after eating, that feeling of feeling full. Now, the problem is the food of nowadays is able to interact with that interactions between those hormones and our brain, make it the desire of it last longer and not being able to feel that we are full. You don't stop eating because you feel that you're very, very, very hungry, and then, I don't know if you can relate, after a while you start feeling really, really full. So what I can suggest you to do here is that you control the proportion of your food. My advice to you is to see what are the right proportions for a meal according to your age and your body, and of course eat healthily. And once you have eaten that, stop eating. You can control that and try and avoid overeating. The next thing that I would like to talk about is negativity, and I have talked about this in previous videos, and it's just very, very important. This negativity applies to when you focus on the negative, when you have negative people around you and toxic people. This can be friends, a member of your family, a relationship, whatever. Being focused on negative and having negative people around you affects not only the way we feel but our health. The reason for this is because a small amount of negative brain activity can weaken our immune system, can make us more prone to illness, and can even lead to a heart attack or stroke. The negative attitude that we have can also affect our intelligence and our ability to think. The reason for this is because negativity is going to compromise the effectiveness of the neurons in our hippocampus, which is an important area responsible for our memory and reasoning. So a little bit of an advice here. The first thing to do is be aware that you have this situation, that you're either focusing all the time on the negativity or that you're surrounded by negative people. Once that you're aware is when you can take action. So if it's the case that you're always focusing on the negative side, you have to start focusing on the positive side, and this is only done by practice. So any single time that you're going through a tough situation or a situation that puts you in a really bad feeling or mood, try to practice and seeing the good side that that situation you're going through has. This is the only way that slowly, by practice and dedication and patience, slowly will get rid of the focusing on the negative and be able to see the positive and the good in every single situation you go through. Now, when having the problem of being surrounded by negative people or toxic people or being in a toxic relationship, this is easier said than done, but it is time for you to say no, and it is time for you to set boundaries and to see with what kind of people you want to be and what to say no to. Of course, this is very difficult because maybe a friend of yours is acting negative because of a certain situation they're going through. My advice would be to try to help them and get them out of that situation, but if you see that there's a point when they're not accepting your help and not doing anything at all and they're starting to drag you down, that is the moment to say goodbye. Now, the last thing that I want to mention is watching TV too much, and of course this also applies to spending a very long time in front of a screen. So normally the amount of time that we blink is 18 blinks per minute. However, when you're watching a movie or when you're working in front of a screen, you're so focused onto that thing that you're doing that your blinking is really decreased, and this is what leads us to these sore and tired eyes, which is really bad for our eye health, especially for kids. For kids at that age where they're developing and growing, if they spend a long time in a house and in front of screens, like playing video games, the risk of developing myopia increases. Now, I know it's very fun to watch movies and to watch series. I know I find it really fun, and also it's my way to relax and to distract myself from the things that worry me. I really enjoy watching movies, but my advice is just to be careful and make sure that you're not overexposing your eyes to a screen. Also, going out really helps. Scientists have proven, but they're still studying this because they want to get into the relationship and trying to understand why this happens, but they think that sun plays a major role in healthy eye regulation. Also, TV affects our brain function. Of course, when you're watching TV, you're not using your brain other to understand what is happening on that screen. Of course, it also depends on the type of movie or show that you're watching, but our brain function is really low when we're watching a movie or a TV show. A very long period of time watching TV affects our brain health and also increases our sedentary life, and as I mentioned earlier, this really affects our health. Before finishing this video, I would like to talk about how to break the bad habits. So in my opinion, the first thing, as mentioned before, is very important to be aware that you have the bad habits. Once that you're aware, again, and this goes for anything that you want to change in your life, then you can take action. But first you need to accept and be aware that that is happening. So what I do normally when I see that I have a bad habit, I write every single habit on a piece of paper and I go one by one. I am always very supportive of the baby steps, of going slow. If you try and change everything all at once, it's very probable that you fall down again and go back to those bad habits. Write all the bad habits down and go one by one, and instead of getting rid of them, I would change them for good, healthy habits. So in order to be able to change a bad habit for a good habit, you need to understand what this bad habit is giving you, because this bad habit that you're doing, you're not doing it because of the bad habit itself, because of what that bad habit is giving you in order to make yourself feel better. So for example, if you're at work and you're going for a cookie or you're going for a smoke. Normally when people do this, it's because they want to socialize and because they want somebody to talk to. So that is really just an excuse. What you want and what you're really craving is socialize and talk to other people. So, see what I mean? You get to the reason why you're doing that. So you try to look for a healthy habit that would also give you that. Now, for example, if you have the bad habit of biting your nails, normally this happens, or at least it was my case a long time ago. Whenever I bit my nails was because I was either bored or feeling very nervous. So what I would suggest in this case is whenever you bite your nails, during one day, try and write down every single time that you have bitten your nails and the reason. So how you are feeling at that very moment that took you to bite your nails. When you have written this down and understood what makes you bite your nails, then you can find for a substitute that gives you that. So for example, I have heard that some people try to substitute the biting the nails with doing like this on the table, so kind of having a physical stimulation when you're feeling nervous. Okay, my love, so this is the video for today. I really hope you like it. Of course, these are not the only bad habits that exist, but I think they're maybe the most important ones, or the most that you can have control over. So I really hope you liked it. I really hope this video inspired you, and if you have any experiences or any thoughts, leave it down below in the comments. If you like the video, you know what to do. Give it a thumbs up. If you want to watch more, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit that bell button to get notified of my new videos. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next video. Mwah.